Hello everyone and welcome back to Cute Crochet. My name is Sri and in today's video I am going to show you how to make this puff flower cushion cover. This is a great scrap busting project that's super easy to make. Coming up with all of the color combinations is so much fun and the end result is absolutely stunning. I have made it as a cushion cover that's removable with a button at the back. So let's get started. Each flower is only 2 rounds and it requires very little yarn, so it's a great scrap busting project. We are going to start by making a slip knot. Then chain 5. To chain, simply yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Then slip stitch into the first chain to join. And this will create a ring that we are going to then work into. Then chain 1 to start. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Then we are going to make single crochets into the ring. To make a single crochet, go into the ring and pull up a loop. You will have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. And that's our first single crochet. We are going to make 11 more single crochets into this ring for a total of 12 single crochets. You might need to push some of the stitches over to make space for more. After making the 12 single crochets, slip stitch into the first single crochet to join, and this brings us to the end of round 1. For round 2, start by making a chain 2 and then we are going to make 6 double crochets together into the first 2 stitches. To do that, yarn over, then go into that first stitch where we slip stitched and pull up a loop. You will have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2. You will have 2 loops remaining on your hook, but do not complete the stitch. Again yarn over, go into the same stitch and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through 2. Don't complete the stitch. Once again yarn over, go into the same stitch and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through 2. We are going to do the same thing 3 more times into the next stitch. After making 6 unfinished double crochets, you will have 7 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all these 7 loops. Chain 1 to lock all of the loops in place and then make 2 more chains, 3 in total. Then slip stitch into the next stitch to join, and this finishes your first petal. Then again for the next petal, start by making chain 2 and then 6 double crochets together into the next 2 stitches. The stitch where we just slip stitch and chain 2, that one, and the next stitch. Make 3 unfinished double crochets in each. Yarn over and pull through all these 7 loops. Then chain 3 and slip stitch into the next stitch to join, and this finishes your second petal. We are going to make 4 more petals like this for 6 petals in total. I am going to finish this and meet back up with you. Here I finished making my 6 petals, chain 3 and then slip stitch into that first stitch where we had made our chain 2. Then Cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a little bit of a tail for making a knot. Come in from the back through the same stitch where we just slip stitched and bring that yarn tail to the back. Then simply tie a knot using these two tails to secure it. You can also weave in the ends if you want to. This is the petals of our flower complete. Next, we are going to make the center for the flower. For the center, you will need even lesser yarn, so use up your smallest scraps for this. Start by making a slip knot. Then chain 4. Then into the first chain, we are going to make 6 double crochets together in the same way as before. That first chain will get stretched out a lot during this process, but don't worry, you can tighten it up at the end. After making the 6 double crochets together, chain 1 and fasten off, leaving a little bit of a tail for tying it. Also tighten the first chain by pulling on this tail. This is the center of our flower. We are going to simply tie it in the center of the petals. Come in through the back in between two of the petals and pull one of the yarn tails of the center through. Then directly opposite to where we just did, again come in through two of the petals and bring the yarn tail to the back. Tie a knot using these two tails. Shape the center a little bit if you need to so that it's round and not smooshed down. And that's our flower complete. Next I'm going to show you how to join the flowers together. As you can see, I already made 2 petals of a flower. Now I'm going to start on the third one. After making the 6 double crochets together, pull up a loop and take it off your crochet hook. Then bring in a complete flower. We are going to join them on the top point of the petals where the 6 double crochets together is, which is this stitch right here. Come in through that stitch from the back. Then take this loop on your crochet hook and pull it through. This will connect the 2 petals. Now I am going to finish the petal like normal by chaining 3 and then slip stitching into the next stitch. Then I am going to start on the 4th petal like normal. After doing the 6 double crochets together, again take the loop of your hook. Then come in through the next petal of the other flower and then pull the loop through. Then finish the petal like normal. Now these two flowers have been connected. I am going to finish the remaining 2 petals of this flower and meet back up with you. Here's my 2 connected flowers. Now I am going to join the third flower. For that we are going to join at these 3 points. On this third flower I have already made 1 petal and then 6 double crochets together on the second petal. Then I am going to come in through the petal of the left flower right beside where the join is. Then I am going to connect these 2 petals and then finish the petal like normal. Then I am going to start making the third petal. After doing the 6 double crochets together, we are going to join it to this junction point right here. For that I am coming in from the back through the top of the right hand side flower. You can also come in through the top of the left hand side flower. Just keep it constant throughout the project. Then finish this petal. Then make the next petal and join it to the next petal of the right hand side flower. Now the flowers have been connected at 3 points. I am going to finish the rest of this flower. Here is my 3 connected flowers. I am going to connect more flowers like this. You can go horizontally or vertically or all the way around, whatever you prefer. We are going to make a piece that's large enough to cover our cushion. Here is my piece almost complete. I still need to straighten out the right edge like I did for the left edge. Here I did 8 flowers across and then 9 flowers wide so that it fit my cushion perfectly. To straighten out the edge, we need to make partial flowers like I have done here, and we are going to connect at 4 points like so. Let's say we are going to fill this space right here. For that, start by making a petal like normal. After doing the 6 double crochets together, start connecting from the left hand side flower. We are going to make 4 petals only. Then to finish off, instead of slip stitching into the next stitch, I am going to slip stitch into the last stitch where we made the petal and then fasten off. I am going to bring that yarn tail to the back to make it easier to weave in. Adding the center will be pretty much the same. I like to neaten up the back a little bit by weaving in the ends like I have done here. The yarn tails of the petal I like to weave in under a couple of stitches of the petal itself. For that I am using a smaller crochet hook. For the yarn tails of the center, I like to tuck them in into the center itself by using something blunt, like the blunt end of a pair of scissors or a larger crochet hook. This also kind of acts like a stuffing and makes the center pop even more. I am going to repeat this for all of the flowers. This step is tedious but worth it. Next, let's move on to the back panel. For that, I am going to use white yarn. Start by making a slip knot. Then make a chain. The length of this chain depends entirely on the size of your cushion. It doesn't matter at all how many chains you have. Here I finished making my chain. Make sure that it is long enough for your cushion. Seems about right. Next we are going to start making double crochets into this chain. For that, start by making an extra chain 2. The last 3 chains is going to act as our first double crochet. Then flip the chain over. We are going to work into these back loops, these bumps right here. This will give us a nice finished edge to our work. To make a double crochet, yarn over. Then go into the back loop of the 4th stitch from the hook. Then pull up a loop. You will have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull through 2. That's our first double crochet. Make double crochets like this into the back loops of all of the chains. Continue repeating like this all the way across. Here I am at the end of the first row. I am making one less double crochet into that last chain. Then for row 2, turn your work without chaining or anything. In that first stitch, I am going to make a special turning stitch. For that, start by making a single crochet into that first stitch. Then we are going to make a single crochet on top of this single crochet. You'll see the single crochet has a back loop and a front loop. Go under the front loop only and pull up a loop and make a single crochet. This is our turning stitch. Then into all of the rest of the stitches, I am going to make one double crochet. Here I am at the last stitch of row 1, which was the chain 3. We are going to make a double crochet on top of that third chain of the first chain 3, and this will bring us to the end of row 2. For row 3, again turn your work without chaining, and from here on we are going to just repeat row 2 again and again until you have your desired width. You'll need to make your panel wider than half of your cushion. Here I am at the middle of the last row. On one panel we need to make a buttonhole. For that it's very simple. Just chain 2 or 3 depending on the size of your button. Then skip the appropriate number of stitches, 2 or 3, and then continue making double crochets like normal. Make sure that your button actually passes through the hole before going too far ahead. This is perfect for my button. Once you reach the end of the panel, chain 1 and fasten off, leaving a little bit of a tail for weaving in. You'll need to make 2 panels, one with and one without the buttonhole, and on the other panel I left a long tail for sewing. On your cushion, make sure that the panels overlap and they overlap enough. The fluffier the cushion, the more they need to overlap. After doing that, take note of how many rows are overlapping. We are going to sew through both the layers when we reach that part. Here as you can see, I have already started sewing the back panel and the front panel together. I have overlapped the panels on one side and I am going to overlap them the equal amount on the other side. Hence we need to keep track of the number of rows we are overlapping. Here I have already finished sewing one half and I am going to demonstrate to you the other half. Here I am at the side with the full flowers, not the partial flowers. I am going to leave the petal that's sticking out at the top alone, and I am going to only sew along the 2 petals on either side. Make sure that you are only taking loops from the back of the flower when you sew, so that the stitching does not show up at the front. As you can see from the front, you can't even tell that there is a back panel. I'm going to finish sewing like this all the way across. Now I'm at the side with the partial flowers. I'm going to start with this whole flower and sew along the 2 petals like normal. Then when you reach the partial flower, first sew along the petal. Then sew along the center part along the inside. Continue repeating like this until you reach the part that you want to overlap. Once you reach the overlap part, you simply need to sew through both of the layers instead of just one layer like we have been doing. The rest of the steps are all the same. At the end, I am going to just tie a knot. Then using that yarn needle itself, I'm just going to weave in that yarn tail and cut the excess off. Through the overlap on the back, I am going to put in my cushion. Then last but not the least, lining it up with the buttonhole, I am going to sew on a button. And that's it. I hope you guys like this video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.